Hello. I wanted to talk today about the experience of the present moment and how, when you find the present moment and you completely center yourself, the experience is joyful. And that joy is something that we can experience throughout all of the hours of every day if we are in the moment. The present moment is basically where we should be in order to receive the healing energies around us that come from nature. If we're not in the present moment where life is happening, if we're not there, if we're in the past or if we're in the future in our minds, which are entities that don't actually exist, where life isn't happening, it's just happening in our minds, an illusion if you like. If we are away from the present moment, then how can we take in the energies that are all around us all the time, reaching out to us from nature to heal us? If we are off somewhere else in our minds, then we are not open or receptive to the living life force that's around us. And when we are present in the moment and we are receptive to the living life force that's all around us and within us, then the predominant sensation that comes through is joy. If we are in this present moment in a way that we are relaxed and receptive and we stay centered regardless of what's happening around us as we go through our day-to-day lives, then this joy becomes ecstasy. And this is what's known as chasing the ecstasies. Something might happen in our lives that knock us off center and away from the present moment. But the more we practice being in the present moment, the less time it takes to come back to center and back to the joy and the bliss that's there, which is real life happening all the time. We want to be a part of that. We don't want to lose connection with real life and real energy by simply worrying about the past, worrying about the future, dreaming about the past, dreaming about the future. It doesn't get anything done, and what happens when we do that is it causes what we're doing right now in this very moment to seem mundane and boring, unless it's something like, I don't know, parachute jumping or bungee jumping or something that's very high adrenaline and it's quite obviously exciting. It's easy to stay in the moment if we are applying ourselves to an activity that is obviously exciting in a high chemical, high octane, high adrenaline way. But that's why for this little exercise today, I've chosen something that is very mundane on the surface, and yet when you are completely present, the mundane becomes very joyful, because the living essence that is joy is around us all the time, regardless of what we're doing. We just have to be conscious of what we're doing whilst we're doing it, and that is mindfulness. And the word mindfulness actually is a bad translation. If you think about Zen Buddhism and these philosophies, these disciplines, the actual more literal translation would be mind emptiness, because when the mind is empty, then you become a clear channel for the universal energy to flow through, and you automatically by default become joyful, because the dance and the rhythm of the universe is joyful. But mind emptiness in the Western world doesn't quite sound very attractive. So the early pioneers of mindfulness changed the translation slightly, and instead of saying mind emptiness, they said mindfulness, because that sounds much better. And it sounds like something that somebody would want to enter into, rather than having an empty mind. Oh gosh, if I've got an empty mind, then surely I'm not very intelligent, and all thoughts like that come into the mind of the Western person. So mindfulness was born, the term was born, but it's more like in practice a mind emptiness. If you can clear your mind by focusing your attention on the task at hand, then all of life that's happening around you, all over the planet, as well as nearby, the wildlife outside that's coexisting with us, and further afield than the planet, the cosmos, the other planets in our solar system, the stars, the galaxies, the universe. We start to connect with the universe in a very cosmic way, and in a way that is so simple, by simply being present. When people look out to the stars to try to connect with something profound and spiritual, they are really looking to connect inwards with the profound and the spiritual. We can get to all these seemingly external places, no matter how far away they are, the stars, the cosmos, by first entering deeply inwards. And all of this becomes ours, and we feel it, and it sparkles. The whole of life sparkles, and you feel happy, you feel very joyful about life. But if you attempt to find these things by reaching out into the stars, but not looking inwards, then you'll never have these things. You'll never find yourself at the center of the universe, which in reality is the only place we can ever be. So what's this mundane task? Well, as I said, it helps for it to be a mundane task, because you know when the joy is coming in then. Because you would expect a mundane task not to give you any joy at all. You'd expect it to feel a bit boring, a bit laborious. I'm wrapping soap. We make our own soap here at Ravenwood, and it's quite popular. We obviously have to make it, cut it. We do it in big slabs, and we cut it, and then we wrap it. And the wrapping of the soaps takes time, and the job has to be a neat job. We want it to be a neat job. It's our product at the end of the day, so we wouldn't ever want to wrap our product in a shoddy way. So we're left with sitting down and having to spend a few hours wrapping everything up. And if you address this situation, this job, in the right way, it actually gives you time to focus on the present moment and to find yourself at the center of the universe, where that joy is just reaching out to you. And it's akin with Alan Watts's The Joy or the Zen of washing dishes. It's the same thing. If you've got a pile of dishes and you're washing them, if you look at the job as a whole, you might think, oh gosh, all those dishes that I've got to wash, what a job, what a waste of my time. But if you think about what you're doing whilst you're doing it and enter the present moment, then you don't have a large amount of dishes to wash. You're simply washing dishes, and it's fun and it's joyful. It's exciting in a very spiritual way. The mundane becomes the exciting. That's what we're looking for, really, when we look for spiritual things. We're not really attempting to look for an event or an experience that is innately a spiritual experience. And if we do find that innate spiritual experience that was very profound, like in old Sanskrit it would be called satori, that flash of enlightenment, we find ourselves needing to re-enter what we then consider to be the mundane world, where everything just seems boring. There has to be a way where this spiritual thing meets and permeates the physical thing, our day-to-day tasks, and there is, and that's where true spirituality lies. So I invite you now to join me with wrapping soap, and simply allow yourself to come into the present moment, The first thing that we do is we slow everything down. We don't speed everything up to try and get the task done, because often when we speed up, what happens is we do a shoddy job. It all becomes very boring and arduous, laborious, and the finished job is not very good to look at. And also we feel like we've been wasting time, because in a way we've been looking forward to the end of the task when it's finished, and so we haven't been in the present moment, so we are wasting time. We're wasting time when we're not in the present moment. That is the be all and end all of all mindfulness practice. We're wasting time if we're not in the present moment. If we're in the present moment, we have the whole of time. We have all of time. And you can think about this in terms of there being no past and no future. There's only one very large present. So the present is very large, that encompasses what we formerly thought was past and formerly thought was future. One large present that encompasses all of these things. We tend to, the Western person tends to see time and the linear existence of life to be very much like a sandwich. So the present moment is like a thin slice of cheese, and the past and the future are like very thick pieces of bread. So the past and the future have our attention because they're thick pieces of bread, and the thin slice of cheese is the present, which hardly exists in comparison. It's not like that at all, not in divine reality. It's the other way around. The present moment is all-encompassing, and the past and the future don't exist at all. They're encompassed in the present, and so by that definition we become immortal. This is Zen philosophy, but we don't really have to understand it on an intellectual level. We just have to be doing what we're doing whilst we're doing it. And so we don't think about what is to come, because it doesn't exist like that. The only thing that exists is what's here and now. Wrapping this soap, for me, is my present moment. And we slow it down, we don't speed it up. I tried many different ways of wrapping soaps before finally, through practice, coming up with the optimum way of wrapping soap. So my mind is focused on the actual task whilst I'm doing it. So I don't even think to myself, I'm wrapping soap. Right at this moment I'm thinking, I'm folding paper. I'm hearing how the paper sounds as it crinkles onto itself and onto the brown paper underneath. Each fold is where my mind is. And you could say, how am I talking? Because I must be thinking about what I'm talking about, but I'm not. I'm not actually thinking about what I'm talking about. I'm just literally in the flow. So my words, as it were, become automatic. Inspirational talkers will be in the present moment. They won't have a script. They will just be talking from their hearts, essentially, and then the universe starts to talk through them. I do a lot of writing. Anyone that's followed my work will know that I wrote a lot, and it doesn't come from spending a lot of time writing. It comes from being in the present moment, and if the energy is right and you're feeling it and you're receptive and you're there in the moment, then the book gets written ever so quickly, rather than thinking, right, okay, I wrote 5 pages in an hour, so it's going to take me 2 years. You don't even think like that. You simply get on board with the right energy, which is the energy at the center of the universe. And then the book gets written very quickly. I wrote Negative Linear in 5 weeks and 5 days. And this is approximately 55,000 words. I wrote Quantum Verse, took longer. It took about 4-5 months, Quantum Verse did, but still, this was a much bigger book and quite complex. I wrote these works by simply getting in the present moment and feeling the energy around me, not overthinking. Starman is the third book that I've just done a book launch for. Actually, it was good fun. Last Thursday, I wrote that in. That was 6 weeks, 6 days. Again, very fast. If you're with the energy, the all life-giving life force that's around you, that is everything, the creational force of the universe, then of course these very intricate tasks get done fast. Of course they do. You've got the energy to do it. You're getting down with the right energy. You're moving with the rhythms of life. Moving with the universe. Flowing with it, rather than trying to beat the laws of the universe into submission with a stick. No, that's never going to work. The universe has got a much bigger stick. You know, so you don't fight it. And it's not boring. So as I'm doing this, I'm focusing on the task. I'm just allowing myself to talk. It doesn't even seem like it's someone else talking. In a way it is, it's your higher self. When you're automatically flowing with the universe and the automatic side is taking over, it's your higher self. This is my higher self that's talking. That's in the present moment, right now, that's wrapped in soap. So what's my experience now? Is it boring? No. Is it laborious? Not at all. Do I have a lot of soap to wrap? I have tons. This is just the tea tree. I've got the rosemary soap as well to do. I've got the thieves oil soap, which is clove and other oils in there. There's the coconut soap, the Lang Lang soap. This is hundreds and hundreds of bars of soap. Do I think to myself, oh gosh, I've got such a lot to do, this is such a pain? I don't. I'm not even thinking like that. I am in the present moment. It is good to be here. Where do I feel the sense of joy in my body? Well, predominantly, for me, it seems to be my stomach area. Somewhere between my sacral chakra, lower tummy, and solar plexus, upper tummy. It's not quite either one. It's kind of midway and slightly higher, just above my belly button. That's where the joy seems to be predominantly for me when I'm in the present moment. What does it feel like? It feels like a warm, exciting fire that is very relaxing. You can feel the rays of this light, this fire, radiating out through your body to the tips of your fingers, the tips of your toes, to the last hair on your head. It's a sparkling throughout the body that radiates from the tummy area. And you don't ever want that to stop, but this is the problem with wanting. When you see these things as an object, you turn them into an object, then the sensation then becomes another kind of materialism. And materialism always brings suffering because there's attachment to materialism. You want things, you want more things, you want a buzz that things give you. And so when the buzz isn't quite there anymore, you buy more things and you end up with lots of things and no joy. You end up as empty as when you started. So if you turn sensation, spiritual sensation, into a materialistic object, in as much that you want that thing and you try to get more of it, then it very quickly dissolves away from you and you lose it, because as the spiritual becomes the material, you then attach yourself to the material, and the joy that's passing through you becomes dammed, like damming a stream. If you put lots of rocks and things across a stream, you stop its flow, then the water becomes stagnant, and no good can come from that. And we can be like that. We can block the flow of the universe and become stagnant within ourselves. But when we kiss the joy as it's passing and don't even try to hold on to it, then the flow becomes stronger and stronger. So the mistake of the early student that has flashes of Satori is basically in that instant. The reason it's a flash and it goes is because in that instant they realise they like the sensation, they want it, and in that wanting there comes attachment, and in that attachment you're seeing spirituality as an object, and so it dissolves away from you, you lose that spiritual connection. So it's a matter of feeling the joy, letting it be, letting it go, and letting it flow. Feeling good? And if you can achieve universal joy, the enlightened state in mundane tasks, then you'll find that you feel joyful all the time, regardless of what you're doing. You don't feel apathetic towards life. You feel like you have the right energy to get anything done. So it's not like you don't care anymore. You're just relaxed enough to get stuff done that needs to be done, rather than tensing up and getting nothing done, chasing your own tail forever, feeling exhausted, feeling down and low-spirited. So you slow it down, you don't speed it up. You can see that I'm actually creating a pile that's going in front of the camera. I need to notice that. The smell of the tea tree is wonderful. It's invigorating to the soul. The crinkles of the paper are a delight to listen to. This is the song of the universe, all of the details. And all you need to do is keep your mind there, and you do that by slowing absolutely everything down. Every movement is slowed right down. The crinkle of the plastic. It might look like I'm very skillfully doing this. It's because I've done thousands of them over the years. So my body knows what to do. And that's another thing that can actually trip us up in mindfulness meditation. I would never come in at mindfulness by following the breath, because it's something that we do automatically. And even though it is a recognised practice, it's probably not so good for feeling the present moment for the first time and the joy of the present moment, simply because you can't keep your attention there. We breathe all the time, it's an automatic process. So firstly, when we bring our attention to our breathing, we alter our breathing, so it's not automatic anymore. So that's the first way we trip up. And then secondly, if we can keep our minds around our breathing, we tend to find that it's something that is so mundane and something that we do such a lot of all the time, from the moment we're born to the moment we shuffle off the physical coil, that we continue to breathe, of course, but our minds wander onto subjects in the past, subjects in the future, things that you should be doing or feel you should be doing. And these are all ways of the lower ego. It's how the lower ego tricks you into not practicing meditation, because the lower ego becomes very weak when you practice mindfulness. Lower ego wants to keep you in an endless state of agitation. There's parts of us inside that become fractured when we meditate, and parts of ourselves fear losing control over the situation. They are just illusions, they don't actually exist. They're constructs within the mind. We become comfortable with agitation, and we see our minds calming down as quite scary. What's going to happen now? This is a state that I'm not used to. So the lower ego, the agitated state, fights for its survival, even though it doesn't exist. It's all a bit crazy, really. So you start to have all sorts of thoughts that take you out of the practice, and that is your lower ego acting, trying to pull you back into an agitated state. If you can hear sounds coming from the room across the way there, the doors, actually there's two doors shut. It's Vicky doing the healing course. This is Sunday. The shop is open. So I'm just going to continue to do this for a short time. We're just on to 30 minutes now of physical time. And in spiritual time, no time at all. And for 5 minutes or so, I'm just going to carry on wrapping soap. I'm not even going to talk. We're going to bring our attention even more so to the very action, the sound, the sense, what's happening whilst it's happening. That's what mindfulness is. To be conscious and present of what's happening whilst it's happening. And life is a happening, isn't it? We're all happening together. It's a nice way of looking at it. We're all dancing together. As I'm wrapping soap, you're watching this video and possibly doing other things as well. And it doesn't matter how many things you do, as long as you're conscious of what you're doing. If you're conscious of what you're doing, then you are present, and so you are meditating. Conscious of what you're doing whilst you're doing it, and present. That's what meditation is all about. That's what existing in the present moment is all about. Good. Good. The idea is that you can feel the joy of the present moment by simply watching me wrap these soaps, and I'm feeling the joy of the present moment by wrapping the soaps. This very simple task, as long as we are present or doing it or watching it, can drag us into the present moment where the joy is. And these are the principles behind the whole Japanese tea ceremonies. The drinking of the tea is not so important. That's where Western people get all confused. It's like, what's with all the fancy movements? Just hurry up and make the tea so I can drink it and see what it's all about. But it's not all about the tea. It's about the movements. It's about slowing down, being present, watching the tea master create the tea, so that you start to feel the joy that's there at the center of the universe when you're present in that moment with the tea master. If you're waiting for the cup of tea and you think that that is the point of the tea ceremony, then you're missing the point. Yes, you get some nice refreshing tea and then you stay present with sipping the tea, but the end goal is not the goal. It's not the goal at all. The goal is to have no goal other than allow the tea master and the movements, very methodical movements, bring you into the present moment, because the person that's making the tea is in the present moment, and that will have an effect of dragging the observer into the present moment. In a way, the observers are led into the present moment because the person that is applying themselves to the action is in the present moment. They're present whilst they're doing it, and that has the effect of pulling observers into the present moment. So that's the point of a Japanese tea ceremony, to find the present moment, not to end up with a refreshing cup of tea at the end of it, although that is a bonus. It's just not the point of it. And the joy that you feel, that I'm feeling right now, is very real. It's a tangible thing. It's an energy that comes from creation. Find yourself at the centre of the universe. It feels good to be there, the eye, the centre of the mortal hurricane, where everything is peaceful. Everything's still happening around you. You can just cope with it and you're not pulled into it and pulled down by it. You're peaceful, you're at the centre, and you can cope. I hope you've enjoyed this little video of being present in the moment. I will do some more videos in the near future on the same sorts of lines. Maybe I'll do the Zen of washing dishes. Okay. Well, I'll speak to you really soon. Stay present, stay in the joy that's found at the centre of the universe where you find yourself right now. And I'll speak to you really soon. Bye for now.